When's the last time you were back here? Has it been?
I've come. I was here last year, but I came for the dinner because I had recruiting that weekend. So I missed Friday and the early part of Saturday, and I came Saturday night. It came up Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Just for the gala.
For the gala, that was it. Yeah, I missed all of the. I came up Saturday night, so I could be with recruits, and so I missed. Yeah, I missed the last 3-4 years. I missed the ceremony, but it came to the gala at night. Yeah.
All right. Well, we were here with Eddie George, 1995 Heisman Trophy winner out of The Ohio State University. Welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Man, glad to be here. Great to be here. I love coming to New York this time of year.
Yeah. You know, I think there's like a core group of Heisman guys who come here every year. Most of them are guys from the late 70s, early 80s. And, you know, I'd like to see more guys from your era come in. Or do you think maybe you can start corralling some of these guys to start coming in?
I mean, well, Desmond will be here. He's here every year because he does the show with ESPN. You know, Toretta, unfortunately, Rashawn Salam passed away. Let's see who else. Ricky Williams could be here. We got Ron Dane.
Yeah, he's here. Werfel's here.
Werfel's here.
Yeah.
Who am I missing?
I guess
Woodson.
most of the guys are here from the 90s.
Yeah, Charles isn't here. Let me see. For Danny 3 was Charlie Ward.
Yeah, Charlie's usually here. I don't think he's here this year though.
It's 93, 92 is who?
Toretta's 92. 91 was Desmond.
And 90
was Ty.
So Ty's got to keep. So
I would throw the question. You guys are doing pretty well.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
So for those Heisman fans out there who don't know, you are in your you just finished your fourth season.
Yes.
Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee State.
Oh, Tennessee State. Was it Tech before?
No, Tennessee Tech is a rival. Yeah, Tennessee Tech. No, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. I know you guys don't pay attention to FCS, but it's okay. It's
cardinal
okay.
sin.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah. So Tennessee Tech is our rival. Tennessee State, an HBCU in Nashville, Tennessee, has since 1912 has had their program, a very rich program in terms of football. A lot of history there in terms of the men that they produced in the NFL. Two NFL Hall of Famers, a slew of national titles, great Hall of Fame coaching. I mean, just a wealth of greatness in terms of just the athletic side. That's just football. You're talking about, track and field and so forth. So it's those stories that I love for people to be reminded of in terms of what has turned out. And now me being the head coach for Tennessee State for the last 4 years has been remarkable. And it's been my goal to bring that school's greatness back to prominence and through sustainability. And I think we had a breakthrough this season.
Awesome.
I know we had a breakthrough this season by winning co-champions in the OVC.
Yeah, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
One of the perennial kind of questions is, when you're a great player and you become a coach, you don't see many great players who do well as coaches. But what are the challenges? Like, because for being a coach, when you have a standard for yourself that you set, and then you have to apply that to other people and have the level of patience and all that kind of thing.
That's what it is. It's patience.
Yeah. It's
diligence. It's perseverance. It's grit. You have to love and be addicted to the grind. And the grind is not a bad thing. It's just a process. And you don't worry about the end result. You just focus on the habits that create the desired results that you want. So I can't speak for other players that have played the game, but it's a calling. I mean, it took some time for me to develop to become a coach and the idea of being a coach in the football sense, but also understanding that I've always been a coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it's just dedicating my time and devoting my time and energy into that on a consistent basis. And it's really creating a culture, an environment, and a lifestyle inside of a building that's true, tried and true, and being committed to that consistently.
Right.
And as people buy into it, they see the benefits of it, and that was the breakthrough. And now you're seeing the results on the field. You see what people see on Saturdays and Sundays when teams are winning is the endless hours that go into it in the off season, the summer, spring, and fall, bringing in the right people, the constant messaging,
Sure.
And also leaders living it and breathing it themselves, not just talking about it. It is a living, breathing organism that you have to nurture like a child, like a baby, and it does not stop. The moment that you stop paying attention to it, the moment that it gets stale, it atrophies, and you have to rebuild it, and you've lost the momentum that you've created.
Yeah. If you're looking at a player and you want to recruit a player, what's your pitch to a player coming to Tennessee State?
I don't have a pitch. I don't have a pitch. I don't have a set of notes that I talk about. Yeah, I'll hit bullet points in terms of location and the benefits of coming to play at Tennessee State. I stay away from that. I think it comes across as not truthful and not authentic.
Yeah.
I like to have conversation.
Right.
I like to engage in a real meaningful conversation in terms of what is it that the player wants. And I'm interviewing them like they're interviewing me to make sure you're the right fit.
Right.
And that's how I approach it. It's very organic. I try to create connection, and I try to build a real relationship where there's transparency, there's intimacy there in terms of me really getting to know you and you really getting to know me. So there's a real partnership.
Yeah.
And through that, there's trust built, and then you're really creating a real relationship, and there's a real understanding of here are the terms.
Yeah.
Here are my expectations, and I can help you accomplish your goals and your dreams by following this process.
Right.
And at any point where we're not in harmony with that, then there's a disconnect and it's time to go our separate ways. So,
Right.
I mean, I find that those sales pitches are disingenuous.
Sure.
And it's not real. And it's just it's a transactional
Understand.
deal for me. So
Right.
I really try to connect on a spiritual and human level.
Great. You have 4 seasons now, and it's been concurrent with the most radical changes in college football
Yeah,
in
man.
years and years and years and
Yeah.
years and years. So, and it's funny. You have some coaches that in 2018, 2019 were very successful, and now we're almost in a different sport now.
Yep.
And maybe some coaches who maybe signed up for this profession with the understanding that it would be like, I'm going to recruit players, come up with schemes, manage my, do all the things you do as a coach, and now flip to 6 years later or whatever, and we're seeing it every year more and more. Transfer portal, NIL, conferences have realigned. The regionalism that used to kind of help your team because it was like the local team, and it's all changed. And but you kind of started about right when that started. So maybe, I guess maybe is it a benefit not to have had that previous experience of being used to the old way?
I think there could be some benefits there. It's changing. I know for the better. I think there's a lot more that needs to be done in terms of regulation and rules applied when it comes to the NIL era and compensating our players. Much needed. It's got caught up with the times. I mean, it's a big business.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is a NFL model in college sports, and it has to be structured that way because of where we are. I mean, the days of being a college recruiter and just recruiting the talent are long gone. It's roster management now. It's an NFL GM philosophy that you have to embrace, like in terms of salary cap, in terms of NIL, in terms of structuring deals that are incentivized, where it puts accountability on the player as well as the coaching staff and so forth. So that's where we're headed, and that's what I've learned. And I haven't been through it as a player. Certainly now as a head coach, it's changed every year. It feels like, I have to re-recruit my own class.
Yeah.
I have
insane.
I have a phenomenal a couple of great players that were freshmen for me last year that are exploring different opportunities. And so in essence, I am developing players for FBS programs.
Right.
And I'm gonna hold that true. Like, okay, this is what you want, I get it, and let me prepare you for that. So it's a different day and age, and you have to embrace that. So the old way of doing things, some coaches, you don't want to deal with it, and rightfully so. But this is where we're moving toward. It's not going to change. They're going to expand the playoff system, so that means more games, more dollars, and more players, looking for bigger and better opportunities. So it's up to us to figure out, hey, what are those points of engagement? How do we engage these kids? What are their interests? Because now it's no longer about playing for a program that you want to help build and win championships.
Right.
It's a wide open free agent market about what I can get. And that's the problem. It's greed sometimes.
Sure.
Some kids are leaving.
It's a big bubble, right?
I'm like, I see a kid at Alabama leaving in the portal going to where? Like, I'm thinking, man,
you've already made it.
You made it. Like, where are you going to go?
Well, there's guys going to Ohio State. They're kind of swapping. They're going.
They're swapping for a couple $100,000 here or there, and I'm like, I guess I get it, but at some point, you got to plant your feet down. You got to grind, and there's a bigger play at stake here. Like, so I'm just trying to wrap my arms around it, embrace it as best I can, but at some point, the powers that be have to put structure around this, and there has to be a cap on what certain people can do. I mean, there's brought great parity to our game. You look at the matchups are phenomenal for this first round of playoffs. Sure. Yeah. Typically, you don't see these things, in during this time of year where you're a home team. You got a team that can host a game against a brand that you haven't played in years, like Ohio State, Tennessee. That's exciting. The second time in the history of college football that these two teams are going to play. Yeah. And the first time a game will be played in Ohio Stadium ever in December. So that's remarkable. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Yeah,
and also there's like the fan bases are still the same, but the fan bases are thinking, well, we have NIL now, so coach should be able to get a players in and win right away because they can get whoever they want.
Well, listen,
so it's unrealistic, right?
I mean, the expectations are you buy the best team, right, but you still have to develop the chemistry.
And you don't, because you don't know if the guy you're getting from other schools is actually going to work out.
Right. The portal is good in some senses, but some there are guys that are in there that are just be recycling and they don't have the talent or the grit or the willingness to go through the hard stuff. Yeah. That's the part. There's still room to develop high school kids in this day and age. And that's the unfortunate part about it, is that high schoolers, really good players, are being lost in the shuffle. Right. Yeah. And I'm seeing it because they're coming to me. Right. And I'm like, okay, come on, let me develop you and move on. But that's the part of it that's being missed.
Especially in the lines, right? Because if you're a left tackle, you're a freshman left tackle, and your fans are like, oh, we need to build the line, bring in a senior, fifth-year senior from the portal. But meanwhile, so he's playing while your left tackle, who, maybe not a freshman, maybe he's a redshirt sophomore. Right. He could have been starting that year and going through the bumps and bruises that everyone has to do. But now someone's playing ahead of him, and he might just leave now because he's not going to get a chance to play that year or whatever. Right,
and you're seeing a lot of those kids falter to the lower programs to get tape, to get experience, and then trying to go back up, and then, it's wild. And to think that our fan base is okay. You look at Florida State. I think they spent a great deal of money on their roster, and you saw what happened there. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So it does not work sometimes, and sometimes it does. I think you have to strike the balance between the two. Yeah. But you still have to do the hard work and develop. For sure. Kids. And that's where I get my joy. I love to develop, as I've been developed, and I know the blueprint of that. Right.
Well, let's talk a little Heisman. 1995, you were here with, I think, Tommy Frazier. Danny Werfel was here as well. Yep. I think Troy Davis might have been the fourth.
Troy Davis, Darnell Autry from
Darnell Autry, that's right, because they had that great year. Yep. What do you remember about your time up here? It was actually you won somewhat comfortably, but there was a pretty good field. I think that was a really good finalist field.
That was excellent. Yeah. I mean,
Tommy could have just as easily won it.
You had three
the top three were incredible, I'd say.
So 3 Heisman winners in the room. I mean, you can say that because Danny Werfel won it the next year.
Right.
And Tommy, me or Tommy,
might as well have.
Could have done it. Right. So Tommy's a college football Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So in the year, and what he meant to college football was huge. So to have edged him out for it is really speaks to the quality of the candidates that year. Mm-hmm. So that's what I remember. I mean, Nebraska was the top dog of that time and of that era. And we came along, and I headed up Ohio State, and certainly Danny was doing his thing, and Northwestern had their run. Went on to play in the Rose Bowl. Troy Davis at that time, back-to-back 2,000 yards a year, which was unheard of. Yeah. So it was tremendous talent in that era. It was a lot of competition. Yeah. But I never looked at it as me versus the field. It was more of a team award than anything else, because you have to have a great defense in order for me to get opportunities to run the ball. And I have to have a great offensive line that opens up holes. I have to have a quarterback that can make the necessary throws to stretch the field to keep balance. Sure. So it speaks to the team and the era that I played with, and I represent that.
You guys were loaded.
Team. We had some dudes now.
Was it Dudley?
Dudley was tight end. Orlando was our tackle. Nicky Sualua was our fullback. Bobby Hoying, our quarterback. The great late Terry Glenn was our wide receiver, That's right. Who won the Blitnikoff that year. Defensively, Sean Springs, who was All-American. Mike Vrabel, Luke Fickle. Mm-hmm. We had Antoine Winfield. He was a baby at that time. He was a freshman. So we had some players on that team.
I remember it was, I think, the Notre Dame game that I think really was your coming out party that year. You had a good year the year before. You had like 1,400 yards. But you were coming from, was that you had come from Mount Union or Fork Union?
Yes.
Union.
Military Academy.
I think the only other, not Gino, but Vinny
Testaverde
also went there. And I think you had a sophomore year at Ohio State, and then you kind of played a little bit, and then junior year you broke out, right? Was that?
Well, my freshman year came in, played some. I was a goal line running back, had success, fumbled twice against Illinois, and then kind of faded to the background on that. And they played some upperclassmen that also played in the NFL: Raymond Harris, Butler Benote, Jeff Cothran. And played backup role to them. My sophomore year, played sparingly, and then it came to me. I was the next guy in line, and I was able to put together a good junior year, which got me some notoriety. I was second team All Big Ten, but I was on nobody's Heisman watch list going into my senior year.
And you were like the really first of the really big modern backs, I think, and. You look at Derrick Henry now.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just, you're like 6'3", 6'4", like in that range, and he's in that range. Do you look at him as a kindred spirit as a running back?
Well, he played with the Titans, too.
Yeah,
so,
good point.
He was hot on my heels. I think he does have the record for touchdowns now, which I held for some time. But Derrick, of course, we're both bigger backs. There are similarities there. Derrick, he is a big back that can hit the home run from anywhere on the field. I think he has, if I'm not mistaken, probably 5 or 6 runs over 80 yards in the NFL, I think, which is a record.
Which you wouldn't think he'd be the guy to do that.
Right.
Right.
But it speaks to his speed and power. And, for us, we impose our will because of our size. So you're left with some business decisions when you see us in between the tackles. Right. And have the ability to say, okay, a defensive back can say, okay, I'm going to let him run by me and I'll catch it. No, you're not catching him. Yeah. I had good speed, but he has world-class speed, and that's the difference.
It's kind of funny that coming out of high school, they weren't sure if he was a running back or not.
I know. I get it. Defensive end, tight end, a fullback, linebacker. Now, he had to fight the same things, but, it's something about toting the rock, man, that's in your spirit. Yeah. And you think about Derrick. He has accumulated from high school, college, and now professionally.
Ridiculous.
I want to say almost 30,000 yards or something crazy like that.
Yeah, he was the all-time leading rusher out of Yulee. And
yeah, 10 grand.
Yeah.
And then in college, I think he has something ridiculous like 5,000 or something. I don't know what the numbers are.
Somewhere around there. I think he had because he didn't really play full time. They used to platoon a little bit, and then the last year,
and then of course now he's over the 10,000 yard mark in the NFL and counting.
Crazy.
And it's like, how is this? This dude is on a different level in terms of recovery.
Right. I mean,
just the longevity.
You're taking a beating, right?
I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But kudos to him. And I've gotten to, in fact, Derek won the award 20 years after I did, 2015. Mm-hmm. And we've had a great relationship. When he came down to Tennessee, he had a stint there and was the face of the franchise. And we've had various talks, and I've really have enjoyed watching him grow and mature. Yeah. And he's just a good dude, man. He in fact, he reached out a couple times when I got the head coaching job. Said, "Yo, that is awesome, man. That is amazing." He's a cool dude. He's a cool dude.
Yeah,
he's like a big kid. I love him, man. I can't wait till he comes back to the Heisman, back in the fold, and come bring some added value to it, because he's huge for us.
For sure. It's the 90th anniversary of the Heisman Trophy. These 4 finalists: Travis Hunter, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Ashton Jeanty. Of course, Jeanty, great running back. What do you think about him as a runner?
I think he's great. He has great balance, vision, tenacity, run after contact. Mm-hmm. Again, you can bottle him up for 3 quarters and then he'll bust one for 80 yards and just lean on the defense. The thing that I love about him is he's going to be an outstanding professional, because he's hungry for more. Mm-hmm. Some guys will, be happy with the year that they've had and kind of love the lifestyle that comes along with being a professional athlete or a superstar. Yeah. But this kid is asking questions on, hey, I want to wear a gold jacket one day. Mm-hmm. And what does it take? And I don't have one yet, but it's just his heart and his mindset is for that. So when I watch him run, I'm like, he reminds me close to what Barry Sanders.
Right. Oh, yeah, very much like a Barry Sanders type. Yeah.
There's only one Barry.
Right.
Doesn't
quite have the slinky ability to.
But yeah, his no one does. Right. Barry is a cat, right, with explosiveness. I mean, he has that same kind of build, and almost put up the same numbers as Barry. And when you think about Barry's season, 12 games and still 26 and 30, that's ridiculous. Yeah. But to be in the same conversation with Barry, he's well deserving of the award than anything else. So it's some really, really intriguing candidates this year. And, of course, with Travis Hunter, what he's been able to do, win Defensive Player in the Big 12 as a corner, but also win the Biletnikoff, a national award for wide receiver, is completely unheard of. That's never been done.
Do people understand the difficulty? I mean, people don't really get it, do they? Like the having to backpedal and run, like don't most people's bodies just protest to that kind of stress?
I can't answer that question. I've never done it. Had to play. I mean, in high school, but he's doing it at a tremendously high level. Yeah. And you gotta. I mean, I remember when we played against Jackson State, Tennessee State, when he was a freshman. And we were looking at the film like, okay, we hope he doesn't play,
right?
Because
he was hurt. I think
he was hurt, and he plays at a different level. His athleticism, he can bait you into making a throw that you think he's not going to be there, and he's there and picking it off, and he's dangerous after the catch.
Yeah, he's great at sliding around bodies to do things.
Oh my gosh! I mean, his catch radius is ridiculous, and he's just a freak athlete. Yeah. And you look at his numbers. As a receiver, over 1,000 yards receiving. We see what he's a playmaker on. He impacts how an offense can attack him, because if you throw his way, it's going to be a problem. So he takes away half the field. He is a good tackler in space, because I said, okay, he's got a slender body. Let's go test that man. Let's see if he can hit somebody. Yeah. Oh yeah, he can hit. Okay, X. So he's the complete player, and his demeanor, he's very confident, humble, well coached. He's a smart savvy, has a high football IQ because he's being coached by Prime. So,
Yeah.
man, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
He's the real deal.
I meant to ask you. Actually, I did ask you offline about your acting career. You did some.
Yeah.
You did some theater.
Yep.
Which is great. You know, it's great seeing people who want to branch out away from you know, and get you know, you could easily rest on your laurels
Yep.
and do all that stuff, but you challenge yourself and you do something out of your comfort zone. What was the genesis of that whole process?
Oh, after I retired, and in short, I was getting inquired about acting gigs, and I just wanted to be better on television and to be able to tell stories and so forth. And I said, what better way than to start where it all begins in theater, live theater.
Yeah.
Studied for a long time. I would say 8-9 years.
Wow.
This is not just something that, you know, a celebrity jumping on stage. I did Chicago just 2 streets over
For sure.
for 8-week run in 2016.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was doing, I was acting in the Nashville community with the repertory theater, doing plays like Julius Caesar and Othello and Raisin in the Sun,
Yeah.
Top Dog, Underdog, you know, just really immersed in that world and wanted to respect the world of acting.
But it's kind of like, I mean, it's probably a glib thing to say, but acting's a little bit like football. You got to hit your marks. You got to be lined up.
It's everything.
Spot, you know?
Teamwork. You know, the play only works if everybody's on the same page. You're doing your role, no matter big or small. If you have 2 lines or no lines, you have to be present in the moment for the other actors. Same thing holds true. You might, as a football player, you might have one play on special teams, and it is a block.
Yeah.
You know, staying on your block or getting off your block or doing submarine on kickoff on a punt returner to get the ball, and it's so insignificant but significant at the same time. Whereas, you know, on stage you may have to not have any words, but stay engaged with the other actor and giving them something to play off of.
Yeah.
There's nothing more distracting and discouraging when another actor is just waiting for their lines to be said.
Right.
The art of acting is listening and responding and being truthful and honest and vulnerable in imaginary circumstances.
Yeah.
And I bring that to coaching. You know, the very same things that I've done on stage, I'm for my players. I'm being truthful in those moments. And that's what I've had to learn is how do you communicate that on a consistent basis? And sometimes it's not by words, it's by action.
Right.
You know, it's by invoking an energy and a sense of urgency just by how I respond, how I'm moving in practice, how engaged and locked in I have to be and focused you have to be. So all of those things that I've learned over the years and been through with acting and business and football has helped me to become a coach to where I am now.
Well, Eddie George, 1995
Yes, sir.
Heisman Trophy winner out of Ohio State. Appreciate you coming on the show. Finally glad that we were able to run to each other and get it done.
I'm glad we made this happen.
Really appreciate it,
Yes, sir.
and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
God bless you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.